Hello and welcome back to Codeville Web Development Series, and welcome to episode 5 of our HTML class. In today's episode, we will be learning about HTML styles, how to add colors, fonts, spacing, and basic design to make your web pages look more attractive and professional. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss upcoming lessons in this series. If you are just joining us, you can also use the playlist to watch the classes from episode 1 so you can follow along step by step without missing anything. Now let's talk about HTML styles. HTML styles allow us to control how our content appears on the browser. While HTML is used to structure a web page, styles help us to define how the structure looks, including the texts, color, font size, background color, spacing, and so on. Styling is what transforms a plain web page into a visually appealing one. So let's get started. Let's open our VS Code. Let's go to our VS Code. I think we have our HTML. Okay, so let's open our VS Code from here, and let's open our page as well. Okay, we have an empty page here, so I'm going to close this and let's go back to our HTML, so our VS Code. So first is the HTML style attributes. So I'm just simply going to open a H1 and I'll name this the HTML style attributes. So setting the style of an HTML element can be done with the style attribute. The HTML style attribute has the following syntax. We have the tag name, the style, then the property and the value. So the property is a CSS property, the value is a CSS value. So you will learn more about CSS later in this tutorial. So first we're going to discuss here is the background color. So let me just open a H2 and I'll say background color. So when we say background color, the CSS background color property defines the background color of an HTML element. So let's set the background color for a page. We have an empty so we have a page here, so let's set this page, yes, let's set this page, the background color of this page to what color? Okay, let's say a powder blue color. So let's go back to our VS Code and H2, we have our background color here. So let's go to the body. Can do that using the body. So this time we are going to use the style attributes. Then our property, our CSS property, which is the background color that we are going to use as the property. So the property is the background color, and we said we're going to use powder blue. So we have it here. So let's save this and then go to our web browser and refresh. So you can see we have our page, our body of our HTML. So we now have our web page, the background color as powder blue. So we can as well set background color of 2 different elements. Remember our elements, like here now we have the H1, we have the H2 elements. So we can as well set the background color for 2 different elements. So I'm going to take this off. Okay, so let's return back to our white, which is our default background. Like I said, we're going to style two different HTML elements. So let's style the H1 first. So let's use the style property, and we set background style attribute. So let's set background color as our property, and this time, okay, let's use red. Let's use red. You can use any color of your choice. So for the H2, let's use the style attribute as well. And background color, remember I said we can style two different HTML elements or two different elements and set this element to different background colors. So here, okay, I'm going to use tomato here. Okay, so I'm going to use tomato. So now we have two different colors for two different elements. Let's go to our page. Okay, you can see the first one, which is our H1 element, has a background color of red, while the second has a background color of tomato. So we can change this. Okay, let me just simply change this to blue. So maybe here, let's change this to green. Like I said, you can use any color of your choice. You can see that. So this is how to set background color for two different elements. So let's move to text color. Text color. So I'm just simply going to use this same example, this same element, H1 element, to set the color. So the CSS color property defines the text color for an HTML element. So if you are going to use the color property, so maybe white here, okay. So meaning we are going to have a background color of green and the text color of white, because we just said the color property defines the text color for an HTML element. So right now, let's go to our page. So we're going to have this white when we refresh. We're going to have this HTML style attribute as white. Okay. So now you can see the HTML style attribute. The color has changed from black to white. So same as this, we have a background color of blue. So if we wish to change the text color, maybe we want to, let's use a yellow, for example. So like I said, you can use any color of your choice. So you can see now we have the text color for this HTML element as yellow and the background color is blue. So let's move to the fonts. Let's go back to our VS Code and set our fonts. So the CSS font family property defines the fonts to be used for an HTML element. The CSS font family is what we use to style it defines the font to be used for an HTML element. So for example, okay, I'm still going to make use of this H1 and H2 elements to set the fonts. So how do we set the fonts, or how do how do we set the font of this? We use the font family property, the font family CSS property. So I can do that by simply saying the font family. I said this is the property. So let me use Verdana as our font property. Then for this, let me set the font family property as well, and the value. Let me use the Georgia as this. Now I have two different elements with two different font family property. So let's save this and go to our browser and refresh. Now you can see the fonts has changed, the style has changed. Look at the text. From a plain text to a Verdana, like the first, and this second is the So the second is the Georgia. So this is how you can set your fonts, or you change your fonts using the CSS font family. So if you wish, you can still try other fonts and see how this works. So okay. So now let's talk about the font size. So let me quickly open another. So you can still make use of this H1 and H2, but I'll prefer to just open another. Let's use the P element this time. And this time I'm going to, let me use two different elements. Let me use the P element and also let's say the H3 elements. Okay, I'm going to use these two elements now. So first, let's use this P elements. So the text size. Now this CSS font size, or you can use the CSS font size, the font size property. So it defines the text size of an HTML. The CSS font family, font size, the CSS font size property defines the text size for an HTML element. So using the style attributes as usual, so we're just going to say the font size. Like I said, all this is CSS, but you just need to make a little bit of introduction and for us to get acquainted with CSS. So font size. So what font size? Let's use a value. What value? Let's use, okay, let's say 300%. You can use a percentage, you can use EM, you can use PX, pixels. So you can use different value and different. So we have the font size. Let's say 300. So let's set it to 300. Then we have here, let me say style. We say font size, and the font size, okay, let's say 550. Okay, so let's add our contents. So here, let me say this is a paragraph. This is a paragraph, and here, let me say this is a heading. Okay, let's save this, and yeah, we have this. So we can see this is a paragraph. So without our font size here, without our font size property and a value of 300, we are going to have this. You can see how small it is. So this is what we use the CSS font size property to define. So it defines the text size of an HTML element. So for the heading, you can see the H3, we styled it. We use the font size property and a value of 550%. And now we have our H3 as big as so you can see how big our H3 is, even bigger than the H1 by default. So okay, so that is for the text size. So now let's move to the text alignment. How do we align this text? So when we say text alignment, the CSS text align property defines the horizontal text alignment. Remember, horizontal text alignment for an HTML element. So this is what we mean. We're still going to make use of these two examples. This way we are going to use the text align property. So we say text align property. So where are we aligning this to? Let's align it to the center. And here, let's use, let's still align this to the center. So let's say text align and then center. Okay, so let's save this, and you can see we've moved the text from left to the middle of our page, which is the center of our page. So like I said, the text align property defines the horizontal text alignment for an HTML element. So if we wish to move this to the right, we just simply need to change this to the right. And then we'll have our text. You can see that it's been aligned to the right. This is aligned to the center. So by default, it's to the left. So there's no need for us to say, okay, text align left, no? So if you still wish to try it, fine. It's still going to have it aligned by default to the left. So this is how we align our texts using the text align property. So I'm just simply going to summarize this briefly. Like I said earlier from the beginning of this tutorial, of this lesson, this episode, we use the style attribute for styling HTML elements, of which we already know. Then we use the background color for background color, which is background-color. That is the property. You can see background-color. So that is the property. Then you apply your value. So we use the background color for background color. We use the color for the text colors. Then we use the font family for text fonts. We use the font size for text sizes. And we use the text align for text alignments. So it's as easy as that. So you can take your time, go through this, and if you have any question, you can simply drop that in the comment section. And please do well to follow us on all our social media handles, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So subscribe and then turn on your notifications so you don't miss new episodes. So see you in the next lesson. Thank you.